Alright guys, I'm here. Let me just get this set up. Give me 1 minute. What's up, dudes? How's everyone doing? Hey, man, there's a lot of you guys. How's everyone going? Oh man, there's a lot of you guys here. What's up? Hey, just let me tweet out to everyone that we're live here. Just give me a sec. Alright, there we go. So, guys, I don't think my chat box is working because you guys are flooding it. Normally on this screen there'd be a chat box that you can see, but for some reason it's not working, so I don't know. It's all a test stream at the moment, so I'm gonna have to figure it all out, but yeah. So today, guys, we're gonna listen to some scary stories. Fill you guys in. We're not going to listen to old ones too. We're going to listen to new ones, which is going to be pretty cool. I worked extra hard this week to get this ready for you guys, so we should be good. Oh man, you guys are killing the stream at the moment. There's too many of you guys. Alright, let me say hellos though first. Oh, by the way, guys, is this a good time for everyone? I noticed that some people have kind of said, oh, the time doesn't really work that well for me. But you guys let me know. What do you guys think? Oh yeah, by the way, I got...
Oh man, I just gave all my donation allocation for this month to my other favorites YouTubers. I love you. Be sorry, this is all I can give. Let's enjoy the show, everyone.
Thanks, ADX. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, so actually, let me run a poll because that's something that I've got to make sure actually works. So you can run polls on this. So let me try something here. Okay, so poll question is this a good time for you? And you guys can give me live feedback here, which will be cool. Do I have an update on Corpsey? He's doing okay. He's not well. Last time I spoke to him was a little while ago now, but I don't want to give too much information because obviously I want Corpsey to do that. You know, it's not really for me to give to you guys, but he's okay. He's alright. He's having a bit of a hard time, but he's okay. Wow, so there's a lot of you guys, and there's too many messages for me to respond to everyone, but hi to everyone, and I hope you guys are all doing well. Okay, let me run this poll. Okay, so is this time a good time or 30 minutes later? 1 hour later? And then I'll put in 2 hours later. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. So you guys should... Oh no, it's not going to work for me. Okay, let me get a straw poll. Yo, Cool Cat, what's up? Cool Cat has been around for a long time. She used to mod my old streams, so shout out to her. Alright, let me try this. Is this a good time for you? So let me just get set up here, guys, and then we'll listen to some stories, alright? Is the music a little loud? Sure, I can turn that down a little bit. There we go. Hope that's better. Alright. So, half an hour, 30 minutes later would be better. 1 hour later would be better. So this is a test stream, guys. So we're just figuring things out today. 1 hour, 30 mins later works better. And then yeah, cool. All right, and I'm gonna put this into chat, and you guys can vote. All right. So you guys tell me if this works for you or not. Because I want to try and hit the sweet spot for you guys, you know, like because obviously it's Friday afternoon / night for a lot of you guys, and I want to try and make sure that it's not too late, but it's not, yeah, it's not too early or whatever. So you guys let me know. And we're going to use this voting system for the stories too, guys. So as we listen to stories today, I'm going to get you guys to vote on the stories, and let me know whether or not you find them creepy or not creepy. So not true or not, because I don't know. I think it's kind of a little bit disrespectful to say to people that your stories are a bunch of shit, bro. But whether or not the story's creepy or not. So a lot of you guys are voting for 30 minutes later would be better. Okay, cool. So that would be like 8 o'clock for me. Perfect time is now. Okay, a lot of you guys are saying now too. Okay, so maybe the sweet spot is like 7:30 to 8 o'clock would probably work better. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Ruby, this will be uploaded later. It'll probably go on my second channel. Now is... Wow, a lot of you guys are saying now is okay. Alright, I didn't include that in the poll. What a numpty. Alright. So I have to figure out the chat box that's not working. But apart from that, it's doing okay. Alright. This is the first time you've ever seen me, Sheena? That was the first time for everything. 30 minutes, please. Gotta go for a bit. Okay. Now's a good time. Okay. 24/7 is good. Right. Alright, guys. So, what do you guys reckon? Do you think we should get this show on the road? Enough chit chat? Should we listen to some scary stories? Love you, B, and the Beehive from Zoil and Sheena. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the donations and a big warm welcome. Alright, you guys are ready. Okay, cool. Alright, so let me just quickly do something. So one of the things that I want to try and do, guys, is turn off text to speech midstream. I want to see if this will work. It should work, but in theory it should work, but let's see if it actually works. Alright, because it'd be cool to have it in between stories, but not while we're listening to stories. Alright, dudes. Okay. Let me get this video ready for you guys, and then we'll switch screen and we'll begin listening. By the way, guys, is the mic okay? Is everything going good? Like, everything looks good? I look like your old science teacher? It's kind of weird. Alright. Alright, let's do this. Alright, let me put this over here. It's all good. Sounds perfect. Okay, cool. Because sometimes the mic can be a little soft. I kind of have it soft for my for when I do my recordings and stuff for scary stories. So can be touch and go. Alright guys, let's get into this. Let me switch to here. Alright, so you guys can see the screen, right? Let me just double check everything's working. Let me make sure that you guys can actually see this. So you guys, and let me double check you guys can hear this too. Okay. Here we go. I'm nervous.
I've had a few strange encounters over the years, but this one took the cake. It happened about a year and a half ago, a Sunday evening around 6 p.m. I'd had a big one the night before, so I'd spent my Sunday chilling in bed watching Netflix and dozed off maybe 30 minutes before this happened. I woke up to a knock on the front door. First, to explain, my bedroom was originally the foyer of this house, so the front door opens into my bedroom. Weird, I know. It used to be a huge house, but then the landlord subdivided it and turned anything and everything into a bedroom and rented each room out separately. So the front door was like my own private entrance, and everyone else in the house used the back door, which went through the backyard that had a gate leading out onto the street. So I wake up to a knock on the front door. I assume that it's a food delivery for one of my housemates. They usually come to the front door, and if I'm not there or don't answer, they'll try calling whoever ordered, and who will tell them to come around the back. Because I'd just woken up and was still quite hungover, I figure I'll ignore it and let them arrange to meet at the back gate. After a couple of knocks, it stops and I just start to drift off again. Maybe 5 minutes later, I wake up again but don't open my eyes. I have this weird feeling though in my gut that I've never had before, that I'm not alone in the room. I lay there, eyes closed for a second, and just listen. And I can hear rustling sounds coming from my left, where my room's interior door from the living room is. And I soon realize that somebody is going through the contents of my shelf. At first, I think it might be one of my housemates looking for my bud and not wanting to wake me. But the more I listen, the more I realize that something just isn't right. I open my eyes, sit up very suddenly, turn to my left and say, "Who's there?" It's then that I see something that sends a shiver down my spine. A man, probably in his late 30s, with a very big build and dressed in black, is standing right over my bed. I have no idea who the hell this guy is, and I've never seen him before. And as soon as he sees me wake up, he mutters shit and disappears out the interior door into the house, closing the door behind him. Suddenly, I'm alone in my room and everything is quiet and normal. Bear in mind, I've just woken up and wasn't even sure if I was really awake or anything. I spent a few moments questioning whether that really just happened, decided that I definitely wasn't dreaming, and ran out into the living room. The guy is gone, but the back door is open and still swinging gently. I run out into the backyard just in time to hear the back gate slam closed. The gate is down an alleyway that's concealed from view by a fence. I head back into the house and check to see if anything is missing, and nothing seems to be. I ran around checking my housemates, who were all in their rooms. The guy in the room next to me confirmed that he heard knocking on the front door a few minutes earlier, but beyond that, nobody had a clue what I had just witnessed. My best guess is that this guy was looking to rob the house. I knocked on my door to check and see if anyone was there, but there was no answer, and so he comes in the back and heads straight for my room as he knows that it's empty, which he can't be as sure of regarding the other rooms in the house. It's a 5-bedroom after all. When he comes in, he sees me asleep and decides to tempt fate by trying to grab what he can without waking me. But in order for him to know the layout of the house this well, he would have almost definitely have to have seen the inside before. I don't know what that means for me, but I know sure as hell that I'll be changing those locks.
Damn. Man. Imagine that. Some guy walking in while you're sleeping. He just looks at her and goes, oh shit. Just bails. Oh man. I thought that was a really good one to start with. What do you guys think? Let me straw poll you guys again. So welcome to everyone who's just trickling in. We've only just started, so yeah. I saw a lot of you guys be like, shit, you creep me up when you zoom in. So Deranged Mouse says, I love listening to your videos at work and when I go to bed. Your voice is amazing. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. And Ruby, love you being in your videos. Thank you so much, guys, for the donations. Really appreciate it. And thanks for the question, guys. All right, so let me do a new poll here. So how we're going to do this, guys, is after each story, I'd love to get your feedback. So I know it's going to slow things down a little bit, and it's going to kind of break, I guess, the feel of the video a little bit. And we can kind of maybe do 2 or 3 stories and then stop if you guys would wish. But I would love to get your feedback on the stories. So story 1. Did you find it? So we're going to do on a scale of, I don't know, can I put more? On a scale of 1 to 3, I guess is all we can do at the moment. I'm going to have to fix this up, but okay, 1 to 3. 1 being it was not creepy at all. I didn't find that story creepy at all. 3 being, oh no, hang on, I can do more. I can do 5. Beautiful, that's perfect. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being this story was not creepy at all, and 5 being this was one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard. What would you guys rate this? Okay, let me just create the poll and then I'll flick it your way, guys. All right, you guys let me know. Hang on, I got a poll for you guys. I got a poll. Hang on, don't do it now. Do it now. Okay, here's a poll. Go to the poll, guys. Go to the poll. I'd give it a 2 personally. I'd give it a 2. I thought it was okay. But don't let me sway you guys. don't let me. Because I want to get your honest opinion, okay? Because this is going to actually help me improve the videos and everything. So Uncle Ulrich, I listened to you, CGS, Creepin, and Clancy while at work. You guys inspired me to start narrating. Oh wow! Thank you for all your effort. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that, and good luck with your channel, man. All the best with it. I hope you can grow, and it's getting a little bit saturated, but still go for it, man. If you love doing it, go for it. Okay, so a lot of you guys, I don't know if you guys can see this. Hang on, let me get this up for you guys. Live feedback. So a lot of you guys are voting. So it should be, if you haven't got the poll here, I'll send it one more time for you guys. Okay, so you can vote there. So a lot of you guys have voted 2 and 1. So yeah, I think a lot of you guys agreed with me. It was kind of creepy, but not super creepy, right? It was a little bit creepy. I mean, the fact that the guy came into the house is pretty brazen, but so the poll, Jade, the poll should be in the chat. So you should be able to just click on the link that I provided. Yeah, I'll do it one more time so you guys can. We'll have to get used to this. I know it's all new. Don't worry, it's all new. We're all learning. It should be in the chat. Yo, truck driver, appreciate the thanks, man. And I'm glad, you know, a lot of people message me saying, you know, my stories help with their anxiety, which is kind of why I veered a little bit away from sound effects and tried to kind of create more of an ambience for the videos. And a lot of people have really enjoyed like the rainy background and stuff like that. So yeah, appreciate that feedback, man. Okay, so I think it's a pretty hard 2 at this stage, guys. All right, so that's good. I think that's a good way to start on a 2. If I can get to a 2 or a 3 to start with, that's good. Mild, but all my neighbors are crackheads, so maybe I'm used to it. That's not good. That's not good, bro. Oh, man. Okay, so we're going to continue, guys. Let's do this. Next story. So I'm going to go quiet, guys, while the stories are on, okay? So
This happened to me about a year ago, 2 at most. A friend of mine named Tate moved, and eventually I went up one weekend overnight to visit him. Now, Tate and I, we like to play video games, watch movies, typical stuff, but we also really enjoyed going outside and exploring. In his old neighborhood, there was actually a creek that we would explore for hours. So, the next morning when we woke up, I asked him if there was anything like that around his new house that we could check out during the day, and to my excitement, there actually was. About a mile or so from his house, there's this 7-Eleven, and adjacent to it is a huge field that leads into the woods. So, we got some drinks, and once traffic died down, we crossed the street to the field. At first, I was actually pretty bummed out because this wasn't anything like the creek, and it seemed boring. Until we got to the end of the field, which is where the woods start. We climbed down and we were in the woods now. There was nothing unusual at first. I mean, I saw a fox dash through the trees and escape in the opposite direction of where we were headed, but that was about it. But these woods were pretty creepy in and of themselves. It wasn't anything huge, but just small things that were out of place. There were styrofoam coolers littered on the ground, broken lawn chairs, a tire, broken glass, and a white tank top tied to a tree. It was just strange, so we joked about how people must have come down here to drink, or how someone must have gotten into a car accident and now lives out here or something. Eventually, though, we got deeper into the woods, and to the far right of us is a house. It's not in the woods itself. It's actually pretty far off, but you could see it from where we were. And honestly, the house looked like complete shit. It was old and looked like it was broken down, and there was a long ladder leading to the roof. On the ladder was a man wearing a reflective orange vest and baseball cap, so we couldn't see his face well, and also he wasn't too close, so we didn't worry too much. But he actually saw us, and he stared at us for a while, and we kept moving forward. We eventually get basically to the end of the woods. We reached the fencing which separated us and the woods from the streets and cars. My friend had to take a leak, and after 30 seconds, we decided to head back to his house. I was a little disappointed, to be honest, because the creek at his old house was way more entertaining, and I liked the water there. We were walking and talking, and we were getting near to his house when we heard some leaves crunch somewhere behind us. We turned around, and it was the man from the ladder at the house. We didn't say a word, and he just stared at us. He wasn't close, but I had a bad gut feeling, and we turned around and started walking quickly towards the field. We hear twigs break and leaves crunch behind us, and I turn my head as I'm walking, and it was the man again. He was definitely following us and wasn't saying a single word. Both times when I turned around and saw him, he didn't walk too. He just kind of stood there and looked at us. At this point, we're basically sprinting, and we run up the incline to get back onto the field and out of those woods. After we got out of the field and saw cars in the 7-Eleven, we both felt relieved and we stopped. I turned around to face the woods, and he was there again, right at the end of the woods, just staring at us. He didn't climb out and get onto the field, and Again, he didn't communicate a single word. He just stood there, staring at us. I took a blurry Snapchat video on my phone, and I thought I saved it, but I can't find it, or else I'd try to upload it. I'm not sure if I can here anyway, but it was far and zoomed in, and all I could capture was his blurry face and baseball cap. To this day, I think about that day in the woods. Tate is a couple of years younger than me, and I'm big, but I'm not that strong, and this was a grown man. He definitely could have tried something if he wanted to. For the life of me, I can't figure out what his intentions were and what the hell he was doing in that forest. If he was just trying to scare us, or if he would have actually hurt us or done something perverse if we didn't start running. Instead, all he did was stare at us, but man, was it creepy.
So, I wanted to get your opinion on this one, guys, because I found that story kind of strange and weird, and I kind of liked it because it had this, like, kind of mystery behind it. Like, what was that dude doing? I don't know. What was your opinion on what that guy was doing? Because, you know, it's an old, creepy house in, like, the middle of a of a forest, and he's wearing, like, a high-vis vest, and he's up on a ladder. Like, do you think it was, like, a drug house or something? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of think maybe it was hiding bodies, obviously. Playing hide and seek, yeah, maybe. Just being a creep. He could have been. He could have just been a homeless dude, right? And he could have just thought, "What are these kids doing on like my property?" kind of thing, you know. Even though he's out in the middle of the woods, I don't know. It's strange for, like, and it sounds like he was doing repairs on this house, right? He probably grew weed and stuff. Man, I mean, it's possible. You think he was homeless? Yo, Grace Harrington, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Trying to look for content like this for years ago. Couldn't find it. Helped me sleep at night. Hang on, let me find that. Make long road trips fun. Thank you. My pleasure, Grace. My pleasure. Thank you so much for the $10 and for the question. Probably a crackhead, you reckon? I mean, he could have been a drugger. Anyway, let me see what you guys think. I've got a poll here ready for you guys. So I'm going to put it in the chat now, guys. I'm going to link you guys in the chat to the poll so you guys can vote. I'm going to put it on the screen here. I'm going to vote 2 again, personally. That's just my personal opinion. I want you guys to vote as well. Oh, I've got the numbers mixed up. Ignore. Okay, so I've got 2 and 1 mixed up. Sorry, guys. So how long will we be live, Hannah? We'll probably be live for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, depending on how things go. So a lot of you guys are voting 2 as well, yeah. Okay, so I think a lot of you guys are voting 3 for this one. Why is that? For the people who are voting 3, why is it that you feel it's a little bit creepier than the last story? Yeah, I agree, Causator. It's not super chilling. It's just a bit odd. But I guess it's the mystery of it that made me kind of go, oh, that's a pretty cool story. Like, and that's interesting and kind of weird and a little bit creepy. Talon. Hey, Busta, hands down best horror story channel. Would love to see you more from you and wish I could donate more. Thank you, man. No. Of course, I'm going to try and be live a whole lot more, guys, to hang out with you guys here and do more like activities and stuff, live streaming. I want to connect more with you guys. You know, I feel like scary stories, you know, it's kind of like me on a mic, but I don't get to you guys don't get to see me and I don't get to interact with you all that much. So I just thought this was a kind of a cool way to catch up once a week. Yeah, somebody caught my question. Okay, here's the question, guys, if you missed it. Are eyebrows facial hair? Okay, so I'm pretty sure this one is like a 2 to a 3. So you guys are kind of earning a 2 to a 3. It's a little bit creepier, I guess, because it's a little bit... I felt like this story was real. You know, it kind of has that mystery to it. It has that element of like the unknown that would be kind of in a true story. Like, just kind of a bit random. Eyebrows are facial hair. Yo, what up, Maddie Oaz? Alright. So I think this one is about a 2 to a 3. So maybe like 2.5 if we want to say it that way. Alright. Let's do the next story.
For reference, at the time of this happening, I was 5 years old and male. And my family had, and still to this day have, a caravan on a fairly large caravan site in Cleethorpes, on the east coast of the UK. We used to go pretty much every weekend in the summer, and honestly, I loved it. We knew pretty much everyone who had caravans in the near vicinity to ours too. But 2 caravans away was a fairly old man, Mike, around 60 at the time I'd say, and his wife, who struggled to walk at the time. My dad and Mike were pretty good friends and had worked together at one stage. Because of this, we regularly went around to theirs and vice versa, and did a lot of things together whilst there. My memory of the day in question is pretty vague, as I was 5 at the time, and my parents have been reluctant to fill me in on many of the other details. So, we were all sat on Mike's balcony at the front of his caravan, and he decided to go in and make some drinks. From what my parents have told me, he then asked me to go in and help make the drinks or help bring them out. Of course, I went in and I remember the exact moment when he put his hand over my mouth. I was just getting cups from one of the low-down shelves and felt his hand go over my mouth, in the classic horror story type of way, to stop you screaming. At first, I remember thinking that he was just messing around. We did that sort of thing often, and I'm pretty sure Mike had some sort of military background, so I just assumed it was a joke. But then he started leading me through towards the back of his caravan. My memory is also pretty vague of what went on in the next few moments. I'm not really sure if I briefly passed out because at this moment he still had his hand covering my mouth, but the next memory I have is my dad barging through the door, smashing Mike against the wall, grabbing me and running out of the caravan. At the time, I had no idea what was going on, but I've recently learned that apparently he had chains set up on the bed. Every time I think about it now, I get chills, but still wonder why he would attempt something like that when both my parents and my older brother were sat just meters away. My dad says that he got us all back to the caravan and then stormed back. I don't remember any of this, and nor does my brother, but my mum has told me the exact same story, and by the time that he got back, Mike had managed to get his wife in the car and they just sped off. They apparently left their caravan unlocked and left all their possessions, and my dad said that they never called the police because he actually wanted to beat Mike up, and honestly, I actually believe him. Even now at 62, he could easily take someone out. From what my mum has told me since then, they, Mike and his wife that is, never went back to the caravan, and it was replaced soon after with another. We still have our caravan, although now with me and my brother living away, we only go a few times a year. But looking back, this is one of the only 2 times in my life when I've been in serious danger. I still don't know what the hell Mike was up to that day, and why he took me at the back when it was so obvious that I'd be missing. But whatever the case, it really creeps me out to think about it.
Damn, that story, man. I found that just yesterday, and I was like, What is this story, man? That is creepy as hell, man. I personally thought that one was very creepy. Like, the guy just took the kid, like, and the people were there, and dad and mum were there, and it's just like he just took him, and then as he takes him out the back, there's chains on the bed. Like, what the hell, man? I think that one was like a potential kidnap attempt, but by some real twisted individuals. I personally found that one quite creepy. But how brazen do you have to be to like take a kid when you're supposed to be having like a lunch or a meal or something with the kid's parents? Like, what the hell, man? And you know, the other interesting thing about that story is the fact that the mum and dad haven't told him like a lot of the other information. Like, who knows what else happened there? I might actually follow that story up and try and find out a little bit more info. But yeah, man, that one was kind of eerie and creepy. All right, I got another poll for you guys. Story 3. Let me know, guys. You know what? I'm gonna not influence your vote just yet. So I'm gonna give you guys the poll. You guys vote for 30 seconds, and then I'll vote and I'll tell you what I think. That way I don't influence your voting too much. So, scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I didn't find that story creepy at all, and 5 being that was one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard. What do you guys think? Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, the strange thing about that story is that the guy took the kid when his parents were there. Like, if you're going to abduct someone, like, you don't do it in the middle of bloody, you know, a roast dinner, you know? All right. So I'm going to go show you guys the vote. Okay, so a lot of you guys are voting this like 3 to 4, and I agree. I'm actually a 4. I actually voted a 4 on this one. I thought this one was really creepy. And it's such a little story too. It's just it's a bit of a, you know, a hit to the gut, that one. It's like, and you kind of just catch it right at the end as well. Everything seems fine for most of the story, and then all of a sudden it's like, what the hell? There's chains on the bed. Like, man, imagine if that kid's dad didn't come in. Oh, yeah. 3 to 4. You guys are voting a 3 to 4. I agree. I voted a 4 just because I think it's like, it's such a small story, but it's so impactful that I really enjoyed that one. I thought that was a really good story. So a 3 to 4 for that one. So let's say 3.5 for that one. Okay, so the creep factor's going up. Okay, so this is good. We're kind of edging our way into the video, and the creep factor is edging up too, which is good. 7 people voted 1, and a few people voted 5. Okay, so a few of you guys thought that was really, really creepy. Yeah, I agree, Zoil. I agree. Let me see if I can show you. Some of your messages, by the way, guys, let me just say this. Nightbot is crazy. I've got it on at the moment to stop like crazy people from coming in and like saying stupid things. But eventually I'll get moderators and we won't have to really use Nightbot anymore. And so Nightbot will relax a little bit, you know. But for now, he's kind of friggin' going off, and he's banning all you guys and stopping all you guys from messaging. I'm sorry about that. All right, so just quick thank you to Sam for the donations, and Spoons. I missed you before, man, but thank you so much for the $2 and the $5. And Logdog, thank you so much. And he says, I absolutely love your voice. It's only you I listen to, though I'm not into ghost stories. I listen to every video on only in headphones. I actually try to do tedious work to concentrate on stories. I'm also your Patreon. Oh, thank you so much. And hello from Russia. From Mother Russia. Awesome. That always amazes me, that people from like all over the world are listening to me. That's crazy. All right. Next story. Let's do this.
I've never told anyone this story because, honestly, I never thought that anyone would believe me. I was home alone one evening and had gone to sleep for the night. I live with my SO and my 2 indoor cats, but she was out of state travelling for business. I woke up in the middle of the night. I wasn't sure of the time, but it was completely dark, because my body was freezing cold. I actually like it cool when I sleep and usually have the temperature around 70 degrees or colder since I live in central Texas. But this, it was different. I was cold, but wrapped in blankets. It was the middle of summer, so evenings aren't cold here. And when I grabbed my phone to look at the time, it seemed to be off, and I pressed the on button, but it didn't turn on. Since I was half asleep, I just shrugged it off, and I walked out of my bedroom to go adjust the thermostat and noticed that the cats weren't around. This was weird because these furballs are always hanging out on the bed and around the bed. Anyhow, I walked to the thermostat and tried to adjust it, but the power to the thermostat, I have a Nest, was nil, and the power to the house seemed to be off. I peeked out of the upstairs window to see if any of my neighbours were having any power issues and noticed that all of their outdoor lights were working just fine. From the time that I woke to this moment was probably 1 to 2 minutes maximum. I decided to wander downstairs to grab some water, but am startled when I realise that there's a glow of light coming from the first floor. The way my house is situated, I couldn't see the light until I approached the stairs. I found this odd because the power seemed to be out just upstairs, which didn't make a lot of sense. So I started walking down the stairs and began to hear a faint humming noise. The noise had a high pitch to it with arbitrary pulses of low sounds, almost like a muffled weed whacker that someone is throttling at random. As I continue to walk down the stairs, I spot a dark, slowly moving figure in the room with light at the bottom of the stairs. The next step that I take feels like I've walked off the side of a cliff or sucked into the floor. That's really the best way that I can explain it too, because I don't remember what happened after that. I just lost all feeling from my body. My next memory is waking up again to the sound of my phone's alarm, and everything seemed back to normal. I sat there in bed, the cat's back to being lazy in bed next to me, and tried to think about the 2-minute incident that happened in the middle of the night. I am not a sleepwalker, and I was definitely not dreaming. My security systems app shows the time whenever a door is opened or closed, and I realized that my security system was disarmed on the app and that the front door had been opened and closed several times throughout the night too. I pulled up my security footage from the exterior cameras and was surprised to learn that there was zero footage from the night. Like, the motion sensors reacted to a random car driving by around 10 PM, and then the next thing is another random car in the morning. So, someone or something walked in and out of my front door, but the cameras didn't capture any footage. My neighbour across the street had a good security system that points at my house, so I asked him if I could review the footage from his cameras. I told him some made-up story about how I thought someone had broken into my truck. Anyway, he said it was weird because when he pulled up the footage from that night, his cameras didn't record anything either. Just a time gap once again. My first thought was that I was sleepwalking and that the memory was a dream, but it just couldn't have been. When I looked out of the window in the middle of the night, I distinctly recall a red pickup truck parked the wrong direction in front of the neighbour's house. I always notice when cars are parked left wheel to the curb because I've gotten a ticket for this in the past. The truck was not there before I went to sleep, based on the footage, but was there in the morning, based on the footage again. So, the truck was there when I saw it in the middle of the night, which means I definitely woke up in the middle of the night, cold as ice, no cats, no working phone, or no thermostat, saw the truck out of the window, and then got warped by something on the stairs. A couple of additional things were different in the house too. The security system was disarmed, and I definitely armed it before going to bed. The light was still on downstairs, and that was absolutely off before I went to bed. My whole body as well smelled like burnt marshmallows. I know this is weird, but it's really how it smelled. And lastly, my 55-gallon fish tank that sits at the bottom of the stairs in the entryway was missing 2/3 of the water. I mean, seriously, where the hell did 40 plus gallons of water just disappear to? The whole area around the tank was bone dry too, and the fish were fine. I seriously don't know what the hell happened, but I've done some research and I've looked into this since then, and everything seems to point towards some sort of abduction experience.
Alright guys, that one was such a strange story. I found that story to be so weird, but I think alien abduction stories are like one of the freakiest things. I don't know what it is about alien abduction stories, but they just, they make my skin crawl, man. Like, they're just disgusting. It's weird. It's so weird, and it's just, I think the thing that makes alien abduction stories so creepy is just the fact that so many people experience or say they experience this. Like, surely hundreds of thousands of people all over the world aren't all lying. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make much sense for them all to be lying. Like, what is this phenomenon that is alien abduction? I don't know. Ugh, it's creepy. I used to research alien abductions like so much when I was a kid, man. I was so fascinated by it. It was just so strange and weird and ugh. All right, let me get this poll up for you guys, and while you guys are doing that, I'll read out some super chat. All right, so here is the poll, guys. Let me know what you guys think on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being this wasn't creepy at all, to 5 being this is one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard. You guys let me know what you think, and then I'll show you the results in a sec. Log Dog. Oh, hang on. I think I read that one. Yeah, I read that one. Somebody else donated a second ago, though, and it's not showing up. Let me find it. ADX. Hey B, do you get much viewers from the US or mostly Europe? Just wondering how many Americans like the creepy, scary. Most of you guys are from the States, man. Most of you guys are from the States. Heaps of people from the States watch. It's like 90% of my audience is from the States. America. All right, so I'm going to vote 5 because I personally find alien stories to be creepy as hell, man. They're so creepy. Oh, like, there's this movie called, what's it called? Something of the Fourth Kind, I think it's called. Oh, what's it called? Something of the Fourth Kind. Anyway, like Contact of the Fourth Kind, or I can't remember the exact name, but man, that particular movie scared the crap out of me. Not Skinwalker Ranch, nah. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind, that's the one. Charlotte Davison, you got it. Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. Man, that was a creepy movie, man. That had me looking over my shoulder, that one. I don't know what it is about alien stories, but they just creep me out, man. Of the third kind. Sorry, not fourth kind. Fourth kind is when you get probed. Third kind. All right, so what do we got on the vote here? So a lot of you guys are voting like 3 to 4. Like, you found it creepy. Well, there's more 3s on this one than there were in the last one. So the one with the kid with the bed, with Mike and the chains on the bed. So that one was closer to a 4. This one's probably closer to a 3. So that's interesting. So the next story that we've got coming up is very long. Okay, I think it's about 20 minutes long. Okay, so you need to settle in, get comfortable, because it's going to be a bit of a long one, this one, okay? It's also a paranormal story. Now, I know some of you guys don't like the paranormal stories, but just see what you think. Let me know. We're not saying it's true or false. We're just trying to find the creep factor here, okay? That's all we're trying to achieve, guys, all right? So, yeah, the next one's going to be long, guys, so you need to settle in and just relax. Get comfortable. It's like 20 to 22 minutes. And, yeah, let's see what you guys think. All right. So this is good, guys. Thank you guys so much for your feedback. This is going to help improve the videos. So this is not a pointless or fruitless endeavor. So thank you, guys. All right. Here we go, guys. Get ready.
Back in 2007, age 19, I moved from my hometown to the nearest big metropolitan to attend university. I had spent most of the previous summer working 2 jobs, including one at a medieval store, part of a bigger chain. We sold outfits, swords, jewelry, gargoyles, and all sorts of figurines and knickknacks too. I had been a really good employee during my tenure, and when I told my manager that I was moving and had to quit, he very kindly mentioned that one of the stores from the chain actually needed an employee right in the city that I was moving to. Needless to say, I was pretty thrilled about this. He forwarded my CV to the manager in the other store, and she replied that she'd gladly take me on as soon as I moved. So, summer goes by and I move to the big city, and in September I start working off the new location. At first, let me describe the surroundings a bit. The store was located in the oldest part of town, and considering the city is 375 years old, those buildings have a lot of history. The street was long and narrow and cobbled, very busy in the summer, swarming with tourists. The store was on the bottom floor of a tall, very narrow building. The store's dimensions were like 16 feet wide for 65 feet deep, approximately, with 25 feet tall cathedral ceilings. The top floors were occupied by a busy bar or pub. There was only one door, spilling out directly onto the street, flanked by a big display window where we would put mannequins dressed in our wares. The very back of the store had another mannequin-adorned display window, but no door, since the street parallel to ours was actually 35 feet below. That part of town had been built on a very sloped land, so every street going down to the river was lower than the other. This is pretty important to the story. There's this one access to the store, and that's through the front door. The minute I stepped into the store, I immediately felt that something was off. It was stifling in there, like the air was heavy. I was immediately uneasy, but I couldn't exactly spit on a job that actually paid well, where I knew what to do, and quite well, and that worked out with my student schedule, so I just tried to bury my concerns and got to work. I got along really well with my new co-workers. I became good friends with the manager, and the money was good and things were going swimmingly. But boy, was I feeling on edge whenever I had to work or close up shop alone. The store was dark and long and narrow, lined with gargoyles, mirrors, swords, and mannequins. But to close, you had to go all the way in the back, in the storage room, flip off all the breakers, and then head back all the way to the front of the shop in pitch darkness to get out through the front door. Needless to say, I pretty much sprinted out of there as soon as the lights were off. Now, we could chalk all of this uneasiness to the actual decor and architecture of this place, but not once did I feel any of that in my old store back in my hometown. And it had also been in the older part of town in a truly ancient building. Nothing tangible happened for a month or two. I was feeling weird and uneasy, but couldn't say with any kind of certitude that something actually was there. And then, around late fall, around Halloween actually, I know, cliche as fuck. Stuff started happening. I was opening the store one morning, and as I entered the shop, a massive gargoyle that had been on a shelf at least 16 feet up was in the middle of the floor, like it had been put there on purpose, facing the door. And that was not a light gargoyle by any means. Needless to say, I was a little unnerved. After that initial event, I would find stuff misplaced all the time. Things finding themselves in weird places, like figurines in our bathroom, things on shelves switching places, hanging things crashing to the floor with no warning whatsoever. And then there were the steps. The floor of the store was old, worn hardwood that was very creaky and unforgiving. The slightest weight on it would make it crack and creak in the most obvious way, and it would start cracking all the time, even if no one visible anyway, was stepping on it. There were many instances of hearing steps when I was just standing behind the cash register, doing my thing. One night, I was working with my manager, let's call her Jay, and I let it slip that some weird things were happening. I was expecting her to laugh and reassure me that I was making things up, but the face she made definitely let me know that I wasn't the only one experiencing things. And she spilled everything. She told me about things moving, furniture rattling, steps, things flying off shelves, and feeling of a deep uneasiness. The unsettling thing, though, is that Jay is one of the most skeptical people I know, and even she was a little freaked out. So, right there and then, I had confirmation that at least some of my experiences were completely outlandish. I worked there through winter, and things had stabilized in some way. The stuff was still happening, but I had started to get used to it and would just be mildly annoyed when I'd come in the morning and find things in odd places. But by the time that summer rolled around, however, things had started escalating. Whatever was inhabiting the space had decided that moving things wasn't enough. It decided to start messing with us. Not just with me, too, but the whole staff started experiencing things. Even my manager, with the sensitivity of a teaspoon and the most skeptical of employees, was starting to freak out. An employee that I'll name C came in one morning, and she was sweeping the floor by the changing cabins that were covered in large mirrors, and she swore that she briefly saw a figure that definitely wasn't her in the reflection. When I got to work later that day, she was standing behind the cash register by the door, and it looked pretty shaken. She basically hadn't moved all day, too scared to get close to the mirrors, and honestly, I didn't really want to either. She told me how she'd brushed all of the little things off, but that was definitely something she'd never experienced before, and she was really freaked out. Another employee, E, was definitely not the scaredy type. A big guy, very skeptical in his ways, and definitely scoffed at our concerns. Well, one night, as he was closing with our other male employee, H, he felt a very cold and very solid hand between his shoulder blades pushing him. It was the most physical thing that ever happened to any of us directly, and I find it very interesting that it picked one of the most skeptical out of all of us to manifest like that. In any case, E was obviously seriously freaked out, and just tried to explain it away, but of course, how the hell do you justify an ice-cold hand pushing you in the middle of a store with nothing near you? He was actually very tall too, towered over all of us by a head, so whatever touched him had to be tall too. H, who was present and standing behind the cash register a good 12 feet away in front of E, didn't see anything touch him. H, incidentally, had one of the scariest experiences too. It happened the summer before I started working. On a busy night, He was wrapping something for a client behind the cash register counter. On the wall behind the register, he hung some swords. It was actually the most structurally sound wall in the whole place, so it made sense to hang the heavier swords there. And they were permanently locked in heavy custom-made brackets with padlocks. So you really had to want that sword for us to unlock it because, man, it was a pain in the ass. But for no reason whatsoever, one of the swords fell out of one of the brackets and literally slashed his face, out of nowhere. I mean, we kept those swords religiously locked. The odds of someone leaving a bracket open were slim to none, and even then, they were really heavy swords that needed some force to get off those brackets. Unfortunately, poor H needed to get 4 stitches on his cheek too. He was never the same after the incident too, and was very affected by the vibe in the store. I think he was highly sensitive and definitely picked up on the negative energy in the store too. He quit the following summer because he'd just become too scared of working on his own there. Needless to say, I absolutely didn't want to work by myself either. The only one of us who seemed unaffected was M, the most skeptical of all the staff. M would literally burst out laughing and make fun of us when we spoke about things happening. It's an old building. Things settle. The walls are soft. Someone with a spare key is pulling a prank on you all, etc. She didn't believe anything and thought that we were all collectively freaking ourselves out. And I think that her dismissal angered or bothered whatever was haunting our store, and it may have explained some of the escalation of events. The entity got more aggressive and started literally breaking things. We'd come to work to find things shattered and stuff would hurtle off the walls and come crashing down beside us. We'd hear furniture rattle in the back store and played rock, paper, scissors to find out who would have to go in there to turn off the light breakers in there at night. I was so terrified that when I closed, I pleaded with my boyfriend at the time to come and get me so that I wouldn't have to close on my own. And I was once locked in there during my shift. I was rummaging for a box and the door slammed behind me. The key, which I'd sworn that I brought in with me, was nowhere to be found. Thank God that my manager Jay was there with the spare key to let me out. That also happened to her and to E as well. We were all on edge, well, all of us except for M. That is, until one morning. I got to work and Em was already there, and she'd gotten there early to chill and eat breakfast, but when I got there, she was standing in the back of the store and was looking a little freaked out. I asked her what was up, and she told me that when she'd gotten in, there had been that heavy feeling to the store, like the place was crowded by bad energy. She tried shaking it off, but could not for the life of her feel good or truly alone. She felt watched and was not liking it one bit. I think that the fact that she was actually physically feeling it was what freaked her out the most. And sadly for her, the feeling never really went away. So she also quit in late summer. She was just feeling on edge every time that she worked and not like herself, and literally told us that she felt that if she stayed, she might go crazy or something. Obviously, that definitely did not cheer us up. I mean, our staff was up and leaving en masse. We were scared to work and saw things in mirrors, and even my notably spiritually insensitive manager was feeling like she was going a little insane. Things kept being weird and intense all summer and subsequent fall, and even clients picked up on the vibe. One woman in particular refused to come into the store, claiming that there was something in the store that didn't want us there. And honestly, that freaked me out so much. I felt cagey and on edge all day after that. I was jumpy. I had nightmares. I mean, my sleep was hell. I was also in uni full-time and working full-time, and I was exhausted and just really over it by this stage. By the time that winter rolled around again, I was ready to throw in the towel. The Christmas came and went, and after that, it got really dead in our part of town. I live in a really snow-cold winter climate, and most of our clients were summer tourists. In other words, the business literally went dead after December until at least March. So, I spent entire days alone at the store with one of two clients in my entire shift. And man, it was awful. I was waiting to land another job to quit, but then something happened that was the proverbial cherry on the cake. One fateful February day, I'd gone to work knowing full well that I probably wouldn't get a client that day. It was dark, grey and snowing and windy as fuck that day, full on storm mode. Honestly, I wondered why I even bothered showing up. It would have been smarter to just close that day. But my manager was working with me, and I decided that I didn't want to leave her alone, so I get to the store and it's dark and gloomy in there, and my manager is there already kind of throwing a fit. Apparently, when she looked at herself in the mirror when she'd gotten there earlier, she felt like she wasn't looking at herself. It's hard to explain, but she had the distinct feeling that it wasn't her in the mirror staring back. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but I kind of understood what she meant. She kind of lost it at this point and started just yelling at whatever was there to leave us and to stop messing with us. It had basically just happened as I arrived, and for the rest of the day, we were both jumpy and on edge. Of course, there wasn't a single client, and it was mid-afternoon, dark outside because the sun sets early in the winter, so it was dark indoors too, and it was just plain miserable. We were sitting in the middle of the store, where there was a decorative couch that we actually used all the time, and lacing a big pile of bodies that we'd gotten earlier that week, when we heard one of the tables in the back of the store rattling. When my manager went to check, she called me over, and an entire display of little leather pouches that had been painstakingly arranged on the table had been just tossed right off. Little pouches were everywhere, and the table was askew and facing inside the store and not out as they should have been. She asked me if I'd moved them today, and obviously I hadn't. The only time that we would actually move those was when we changed their clothes. No one could have possibly moved them since the only door to...
I think I just disconnected there for a couple of seconds, guys. I'm sorry, hang on. Let me just rewind a little bit there for you guys. And we're back.
We freaked the fuck out at this. And that's when my manager noticed that the mannequins in the back display window, they were facing inside the store and not out as they should have been. She asked me if I'd moved them today, and obviously I hadn't. The only time that we would actually move those was when we changed their clothes. No one could have possibly moved them since the only door to the store was all the way at the opposite end. I then noticed that every single mannequin in the store was actually turned towards us, including the ones in the front display window. How or when that happened, I'll never know. I mean, I still have no explanation to this day. If it was a prank, it was so well orchestrated that I wonder what kind of mastermind had this much time to waste, scaring the fuck out of a little team of hapless teenagers and young adults just trying to get by. I mean, my hands are shaking even talking about this. But to this day, it's definitely one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me. Realizing that all the mannequins have been turned towards us, it gave me a heart attack. I still get major shivers whenever I tell people about this experience too. I felt watched and so unsafe that it was horrifying. My body was in fight or flight mode, and I felt physically ill. I had to get out of there, and not a minute too soon, too. And that's pretty much when I decided that it was enough. I pretty much told my manager, okay, that's it, I've had enough, and I'm leaving this place and never coming back. Fuck this, I'm going home. But she didn't want to stick around either, so we just grabbed all our shit and left right there and then. Didn't turn off the breakers, didn't do any closing procedure. We just got our shit, put the key in the door, and hightailed it out of there. And after that day, I never went back. The owners decided to close for the remainder of the winter the week after that, and we all got an unemployment benefit until we found new jobs, and when they opened again in April or something, I told my supervisor when he called me offering me a job that I'd rather literally die than set foot in that store again. I walk in the front of the old building a few times a year when my errands take me to the old part of town. They closed the store permanently a few years ago, and to this day, it remains vacant. I ran into the barmaids and waiters that worked upstairs a few times. We'd often chat on our respective porches when we got out to smoke back when I worked there. Last summer, I was walking on the street below the shop and ran into one of the barmaids. We started catching up, and she was telling me how our old store was still vacant, and that whoever visited it, that's who opened something in it, would back out of it last minute or change their minds. I decided to bite the bullet and ask her if anything strange or uncanny had ever happened in the bar, at the risk of looking a little strange. And she looked at me with big eyes and nodded. She said, all the time. The chairs flying, bottles shattering, barmaids and waiters hearing weird sounds at night, doors closing of their own volition, and a plethora of others. We exchanged stories for a good hour after that. I'm quite convinced that that entire building is haunted or something. And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me in the least in that part of town where most of the buildings are 200 plus years old. I never quite knew what it was that was there, what its motivations were, but one thing was for sure. It definitely did not want us there. Let me mention that I'm kind of a scientist at heart. I would never label myself a skeptic by any means, but I do love a good logical scientific explanation. If I could have debunked any of the events I mentioned, I would have gladly done it. But there are no words and not a single explanation that I could possibly have for that horror and the sense of dread and the events that unfolded where I worked there. And even now, nearly 10 years later, you could never pay me enough to set foot back in there. Not in a million years.
So, what did you guys think of that one? I know it was long, but man, strange stuff. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say whether it was true or not. You guys can all have your own beliefs about whether it was true or not. I would like to know, on a scale of 1 to 5, how creepy it was. 1 being, I didn't find that creepy at all, or 5 being, I found that to be one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard, and I'm about to give you the poll. So you guys can tell me exactly what you think. All right, here is the poll. And while you guys are voting, I'm going to read out a couple of donations here. So it's Menadi, I think that's how I pronounce it. Sorry if I butchered it. Can't donate much, but even a little contribution helps, I guess. Thank you for the 5, man. Appreciate that. Every little bit does help. You'd be amazed at the difference that it makes when 100 people donate $5 each. You know, it really does. Nilius17 with the $10. Thank you so much, bro. Love the stories. Great job. Nilius17.com. Don't know where that leads to, guys. Hope you're not giving us viruses, Nilius. But, yeah, I don't know if somebody wants to check that out. Go for it. Nilius also donated another 5 and said, "Why do you look so young but sound so old?" Love it. I don't know. It's in the genes. All right, so let me pull this over. I'm going to vote a 4 for that one. I'm a low 4 though, not a hard 4, a low 4. I'm not super creeped out by that one. The one creepy bit. See, wow, there's a lot of 5s there. Wow, a lot of you guys really enjoyed that one and thought it was really creepy. That's interesting. Now, I know there are a lot of paranormal lovers on my channel, so this is probably quite refreshing for you guys. So that's good. That's good. I'm glad that you guys found that one creepy. I give it a 4, but it's not a hard 4. The bit that I found really creepy was the mannequin bit. I mean, all that stuff leading up to it, like, I probably would have stayed. As soon as I saw those, if I saw scratches on a table and then I saw mannequins like all facing me in the store, I'd be like, hell nah, I'm gone. I'm out of here at that point. Man, dolls are the worst. I agree, Amber Doodles. I agree. Some dolls are creepy. I don't know if you guys know Graveyard Girl. I kind of know her a little bit. We've talked in DMs and stuff, which is kind of cool because she's massive. She collects dolls, and she's got some really creepy dolls. If you haven't checked her out, you should go check her out because she's doing some stuff with Shane Dawson at the moment. And she has this story on her channel about this doll that she bought and some freaky stuff that happened with it. I won't spoil it for you, but it's worth checking out. It's a really interesting story. She's a really interesting person. I really like Bunny. She's funny and kind of quirky, and she's really interesting. Definitely worth your time if you enjoy paranormal stuff. She's got a lot of stuff up at the moment. All right, so I think we're at about a 4/5, which is pretty good. A few of you guys have voted 3 and 2s, and a few have voted 1 because I guess you don't find paranormal stories all that scary, which, you know, fair enough, each to their own. No problem here. We're not here to judge anyone. We're here to have a good time and enjoy stories. And some people are going to enjoy some more. Some people are not going to enjoy some. Some people are going to find some creepy. Some people are not going to find some creepy. And that's okay. We're all entitled to our opinions here, right? But yeah, I think I would give it a 4, that one. I would like to get your opinion as well, guys. And you can just type this in chat. What did you guys find the creepiest part about that story? So thinking back, you know, you have ominous feeling, creepy steps. You have people being pushed, swords falling, objects flying around. You have someone look in the mirror and are like, hang on a sec, that's not me, bro. So that's one. And then there's the mannequins, and then there's like scratches on tables, and, you know. So what did you guys find the freakiest part? I'd like to know. Oranges. Okay, that wasn't in the description. Everyone is saying mannequins. Yeah. Okay. That was the creepiest part for me too. Although I must admit, the part with the mirror, was interesting and really strange and creepy. I found that particularly creepy. Charlotte Davison, thank you so much for the 10. Appreciate it. Absolutely adore you. I listen to your videos a lot when I'm out to curb my anxiety. Nice. I can't believe how long it's been since I started listening to you. I'm really proud watching you flourish. Thank you so much, Charlotte. That's such a lovely message, and really, really appreciate that I can help out a little bit. And you're not alone. There are a lot of people that make the same comment. So this is what the Beehive's about. So thank you. Yeah, so the mirror bit, guys, I thought that was quite a creepy bit too. And you know the strange thing about that, she said when she was looking at herself, like if I can recall it correctly, she said it was her, so she was seeing her own reflection, but it was like there was something off about it. And that's creepy. That's creepy. I find that to be very strange and kind of mysterious and ugh. All right, guys, we're going to listen to the next one. Let me get set up. Put that away. Okay. By the way, guys, the chat is working on screen now for some random reason. So let me just quickly double check this. Yeah, so this is how it normally should look. I don't know why it just started working randomly, but this is how this screen should look. So you guys can chat with me and see your own chat on screen and stuff. And then on the desktop here, you guys should be able to see it all too. So I just thought that this would be a cool way for you guys to interact with each other and see each other on screen and everything. So, all right. So, just quickly, Delaney, why did the boy drop the ice cream? He got hit by a bus. Okay. All right, we are going to the next story on that note. Okay, ready, guys? Here we go.
Since high school, I've learned that some of the most rewarding purchases are the most annoying transactions. When I was about 17, I decided to get my driver's license because I was tired of spending so much time at my house with my parents. They weren't bad people or anything, but my mum liked to yell at the political news channel with my dad, and it got old fast. After I got my license, I was using a text service called QWERTY, which had gone out of business, and I was left without a phone. Because having a cell phone had been decided necessary by my parents, I had to go purchase my own. They would pay for it, and I would work around the house to pay them back, but I had to get it and do all the hard work. I didn't live in a bad area, but the Radio Shack was in a sketchy part of town where a lot of prostitution and drug dealers ran their businesses. I never remember hearing of anyone getting hurt, but the people, they were definitely really sketchy. And one apartment down the road on the way to the Radio Shack absolutely was dangerous. It was a popular place for opioid addicts and drug dealing. It was closer to my house than I like to admit, and I didn't think anything of it most of the time. So I'm at the Radio Shack, and people keep making the process difficult. Between the girl who first checked me out and started activating the phone, to her not only activating the wrong phone but bricking it, it was a long process. Finally though, we get all set up and they're telling me to set up security on my phone and a backup passcode. I do, but it's one of those swipe pattern codes, and I ended up forgetting it the second I got back into my dad's truck. I was driving back at about 8 p.m, and I have to stop at the intersection by the drug den apartments. I'm approaching from the east going west, and the road is barren except for two other people also driving west. The one truck turns right to head north, and a man is standing at the northwest corner, waiting to cross going east, past us. The orange PT Cruiser ahead of me has stopped at the red light, and we're waiting to go. The truck turns, and I didn't take note of the pedestrian, but the light is green and we haven't moved. I wait for a second before I look to honk the horn, and the car ahead of me backs up a bit, scaring me and making me full panic. I'm new behind the wheel, and I don't put the car in reverse. I put it in park, and I'm pressing on the gas but not moving. I'm trying to figure out what gear I'm in, but I can't find the display in my panic, and the orange PT Cruiser takes off. I'll never forget the guy that was standing in the road ahead of me. I still worry about him walking around when I have to drive around that town at night. He was about 5'6", slim with long limbs and a sunken face. His whole body screamed zombie, and his face was twisted in anger. He wore a dirty neutral coloured hoodie, but in the dark, I couldn't tell much. I managed to lock the doors, but still couldn't figure out the gears. I was totally frozen, staring at this man slinking toward me. He put his hand on the hood of the car, and it's cracked and bruised and dirty. I muster enough courage to look at him in the face, and I'll never forget seeing how much blood was just dripping off of him. I couldn't tell if he was badly injured because his face was just so dirty and bloody, but I had more than enough time to look. He crept up to the driver's side and tried to find the handle as I was trying to figure out the gears. I managed to pop it into neutral, and the truck made a strange noise that took him aback, but I wasn't moving, and he slammed his face against the window. He looked like he was bleeding from his eyes, but he definitely wasn't in pain. I mean, he laughed as I was panicking, and I could hear him tugging on the handle. Somehow, no other cars had stopped to help, even though I saw them passing by. I managed to find the right gear and tried to take off, but for some stupid fucking reason, I wanted to be a decent person and not run him over, so I took off slowly. I barely pressed on the gas when he pulled out a gun. I shrieked and slammed the gas and dragged him a bit, but he had his arm wrapped around the side mirror and he yelped and let go. I took off going 60 down the 35 to my house, and when I got in a full-on panic, my mum just chastised me for barging in like I did. When I tried to explain it, to my shame, I started to throw up and had to run to the bathroom. When I came out and explained, they told me to quit being a pansy and call the cops. For some reason, I was in trouble for almost being carjacked. I called the police and the dispatcher said that I wasn't the only one calling about a man with bleeding eyes. After telling my parents, to which my mum was, well, gently put, skeptical, the doorbell rang. A deputy was at my door and asked to speak with me. My mum sent me in front of the officer, hoping that I'd confess to staging a hoax or apologise, and he asked me for a description. I gave him one and took him to the truck to show him the bloody face print on the window. He had someone take a sample, and he told me that they had a suspect in custody who perfectly matched my description of the man. He had a road rash and a dislocated shoulder, but wasn't in any mortal harm or anything. The cop left me with the number of his badge and squad car and told me to call him if I ever needed help with this again. He later appeared on the local news, giving a statement to a string of attempted carjackings by a man who was reported to be on cocaine. He said that with the help of the people who gave statements and descriptions, and the fact that he had a unique injury, finding the correct guy was pretty easy. He was carrying a loaded handgun that had not been fired, and no one but him was injured. The deputy said that the man had been in a fistfight nearby, and had gotten beaten bloody, and the strange appearance of blood from his eyes was from ruptured blood vessels in his eyes, and blood from his cheeks. He said that the man was in a stable condition and cooperating. He was sentenced on a drug charge, and I haven't heard anything about it since. But needless to say, when he pulled that gun, it scared the shit out of me.
Wow. Yeah, that's a story. That was a close call, I reckon. That was a real close call. Let me get the poll up for you guys, so you guys can tell me what you think. And as you guys are voting, so the poll is here. 1 to 5, guys. You guys know the drill by now. Guy was totally off his face and pulled the gun out on this person that was just driving home. That was, I don't know if that was so much a creepy story. Actually, this is a good test, because I want to get your opinion on this story, guys, in particular, because although it wasn't super creepy per se, it was really like risky, and it had a lot of danger in it, and it had a lot of I guess, like the potential for someone to be killed there was very high. Very, very high. Whether it was the guy, because I mean, he held onto the side of the car, it was dragged and everything, So whether it was the guy or whether it was the person who was driving getting shot or whatever, very, very, like, something could have gone wrong very quickly there. And I think because of that fact, it made it pretty creepy. But I would like to get your opinion. What do you guys think? Alright, let me pull this over. I'm going to give that one a 3. But it's a hard 3, so it's almost a 4. Almost a 4. Let's see what you guys said. Okay, so some of you guys... Okay, so a lot of you guys gave that one a 4. Okay, so that's quite high. That's interesting to me. So you guys... So let me ask a question here. Do you guys find when there is more risk in a story and there's more like, I guess, real dangerous circumstances, do you guys find that particular like genre of story a little bit more creepy? Give me a yay or a nay in chat. Let me know, because I'd like to get your opinion on that. Yeah, the bloody eyes were creepy. Yeah, I agree, Yolanda. So, some nays, some yays. Yeah, thumbs up, nay and yes. Okay, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Okay, there's probably a few more yays than nays. Okay, yeah, okay, there's a fair few more yays than nays. Kind of depends on the situation. Okay, yep. Okay, cool. It's good to get. It's really cool to get some live feedback from you guys. This is really cool. This is going to help me pick stories in the future for you guys. So, how about the mixture, guys? Like, I want to ask. I mean, there's still a few stories to go, but how's the mixture feeling? You know, like I've tried to include, you know, some paranormal, some like, some more like risky stories, some like creepy stories. Like I'm trying to bring a lot of different things together into one video these days to try and, you know, satisfy as many people as I can. Variety is good, yep. I see dead people. You should probably get that checked out, Jacob. Refreshing, good mix. It's a really nice mix. Okay, cool. So you guys are enjoying it. Okay. If you go paranormal, I'd prefer folklore or legends. Yeah, I haven't done many of those over the last probably 6 months or so. It's something I should have a look around. Actually, one stream I was thinking about doing was exploring urban legends with you guys. So we can actually go in, like I could ask you guys, you know, what's an urban legend in your area, and you guys can let me know, and we can read some facts about it. That'd be pretty cool, I reckon, at some stage. Doesn't have to be the whole stream. We can do some of the stream. Maybe when I have a slightly shorter video or something, we can kind of fill in some time with that. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so like Wendigos and stuff, and the Goat Man from Kentucky. We have, in Australia, we have a couple. Like, we have the Bunyip. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Bunyip. It's a creepy, weird folklore from the indigenous people of Australia. The Jersey Devil. Yeah. Texas doesn't have too many legends. Okay. Yeah, Bigfoot stories. You said big food stories, but I get your drift. The Kappa. Good one. It's Bunyip. Yeah, Bunyip. Folklore from Sweden is creepy. Which one? Where does the Baba Yaga, or it's the creepy old woman? Where does that one come from? Does anybody know? Oscar. Thank you so much, Busta. Thanks for the video. They get me through boring road trips and sleep. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for the 5, Oscar. Appreciate it, man. Very generous of you. Happy to be here, bro. Thank you so much. It's Russia, or is it Iceland? It's from Russia. Yeah, so I think it's from one of those like northern kind of European / possibly Russia, right? It's from that area, right? Yeah, so I don't know if you... So obviously a lot of you guys have heard of it. It's Baba Yaga, I think they pronounce it. But basically it's this old woman who walks around and like confronts children and tries to get them to come with her. And her bag is like full of knives and just creepy stuff like that. I actually did a story on it once. Someone allegedly experienced it, so very creepy. Yeah, Japan and Korea have some creepy ass stories. I'd love to know about those. And you guys in the States have, you know, Native Americans. They have some pretty wild urban legends. Pretty cool. Really interesting. All right, so I'd say that one's a comfortable 4. So, okay, cool. Good to know, guys. Thank you guys for voting. Appreciate it. And we're going to go to the next story, okay? So here we go, guys. So we're up to story 7 now. So there's one more after this. There's 8 stories. I think it's either the next one. I think it's the next one is about 10 minutes long. So settle in, and we're going to get this show on the road. All right, here we go, guys.
My dad lives in an old miner's village, and lots of artifacts have been found, like an old key from under the floorboards or a note to a miner's wife in the walls of another house. He moved in when I'd gotten older and has only lived there for about 3 years now. Weird stuff has always happened in that house, but there's been some instances which made me question my previously non-believer stance on the paranormal. I've always relied on science and evidence in life, and I truly believe that the simplest explanation is usually the right one. The events that I'm going to talk about, however, I can't reason as being natural and don't know what to do about them. The first event that seemed off in that house was a tall man that would pass the kitchen window. I would never pay much attention, as I figured it would just be a neighbour passing by, and I would continue to cook whatever I was making, giving them a smile through the window due to the friendly nature of such a small community, which he would always return. I didn't know the names of the locals since I only visited my dad once a week, and we spent our time in the house watching movies alone, so there was never a chance to get to know people. Being good friends with his neighbours, though, we agreed to go over for dinner since he had been there for a few months now, and I hadn't had the chance to sit down with them and talk. Over dinner, we discussed different boring topics such as unemployment, school, and the weather, until we were a couple of glasses into wine. A good-natured gossip about the neighbours began, and I started to try and place faces with names. They seemed to stop after a while, which seemed weird as they hadn't mentioned the one person that I was most familiar with. I began to describe the man who walked by regularly, from his height to his bone structure, and everyone sat in confused silence as nobody turned up in this village without people noticing. The mother of our neighbour had suddenly jumped up and hurried back to her house. Around 10 minutes later, she came back with a picture of the man that I had seen for weeks now, and I confirmed that, yeah, this was the guy that I had seen, and she just nodded. She told me that his name was James, and he used to live in our house, but a few years ago, he drove down the road into the forest and attached a pipe to his exhaust and then went through the window, and they found him days later. Naturally, I thought that she was just joking around or that she had gotten confused due to her old age or something. But it wasn't until our neighbour hummed and said that she remembered the last woman who had moved in for a few months had complained about the man who always walked around outside too. Apparently, she had loudly told him to go away after getting advice from her priest, and he hadn't bothered her again. She apparently moved out though because the house felt off to her. I never had the heart to say it whenever I saw him because, as far as I cared, he wasn't doing any harm. And the second event is also pretty tame, but I still have no explanation, so it gives me chills. Being a smoker but not being fond of the smell, I usually head outside to spark one up. I'd been having trouble sleeping this night, however, and it was around 2 a.m. Not only was I too tired to find the energy to put on appropriate clothing and shoes and trail down the stairs, but I also didn't want to risk waking my dad up since it was way too early. This is why, instead, I hung out my window in order to have a smoke, dressed in nothing but a shawl wrapped around my shoulders for the chill. For reference, the window is in the far wall. On the opposite wall is my bed, toilet to the right and exit to the left. I must have been about halfway through when I heard a man clear his throat very loudly right behind me. I panic and spin around, thinking maybe that my dad had come up to ask something and was showing his disapproval of my being awake when I had work the next day. In hindsight, though, it obviously would not have been my dad, as firstly, he knows to knock, and secondly, he would never have stayed if he noticed my lack of clothing. When I do spin around, however, nobody is there, which was odd. I easily brush off occurrences like this as just normal, such as when others jump or thump in the house or something, or possibly something moving in the house, so I shrug it off and say that it had to be something falling over. But then I began thinking about how loud and clearly that I heard the noise, so close to me too, that it started to make me feel uncomfortable and a little bit shaken. The third event didn't seem aggressive, just unnatural. It had been the summer and I'd been wearing a very light shawl which I placed on the floor when I went to the toilet. This floor was covered with one large sheet of vinyl, so no air would be able to flow through the cracks or gaps. As I was sitting there, I had been staring at the ceiling as there was a small spider running laps up there. But movement caught my eye, and looking down, I saw the weirdest thing that I've ever witnessed. My shawl was literally floating right in front of me, a few inches off the ground. It was raised by one part as if someone punched it and then raised their arm. I sat there, pants around my ankles, wondering what the hell I was meant to do. I felt scared to move, as if whatever it was wouldn't notice me if I stayed still. Finally, I reached forward, but the second I made contact with the shawl, it dropped and the entire room became ice cold. The fourth event, it terrified me at the time, and honestly, it still does. It was near the end of summer, so the weather had become calm and warm. My dad and I were watching some movie in the living room downstairs when we both jumped at a bang so loud that we thought it might have been a gunshot. I get the same feeling of dread and pure fear that I got during the voice in my room, and for some reason, I run straight for the door and out of the house. Our neighbour's mother, I should mention now that she's very religious and a strong believer, sees me in such a panic and comes racing out to see what had just happened. I am embarrassingly ugly crying by this point, which again is very uncharacteristic of me, but I've never felt so threatened in my life. I tell her that something happened in the house and she goes to the front door, through which I can see my dad looking about with his baseball bat. The second she steps inside, she turns back around and hurries to her house. She returns with a bundle of sage and lights it as she steps in. She looks about before going straight to my room, and I can hear from outside her shouting at whatever was in there to leave the house as it's not welcome here. After a while, she comes back out and tells me to keep the sage burning in my room as it'll protect me. My dad leads me back inside and points up the stairs, and halfway up, I see that the hatch to the loft had been removed. Now, this thing was far enough up from the ground that no person would have been able to reach it and move it without a ladder. I wait in the kitchen as a neighbour helps my dad fix the ladder and move the hatch. And apparently, this thing was so heavy that my dad struggled to even slide it on his own. Lastly, there were some weird dreams that I had while I was there too. Maybe they're connected, maybe not. I'm not too sure, but I won't go into it. But I attempted to take my own life about a month before this, and I hadn't been to visit in a while due to low moods, but I finally got the energy to go back, and I'd been having nightmares where you can't remember what happened, just that it was bad, but this changed on my first visit. I also want to put it out there that although I'm not discounting it, I've never had sleep paralysis or I've never sleepwalked. The nightmare was simple enough. In my dream, I woke up to whispering coming from the small walk-in closet. This closet was a meter-sized crawl space that looks like it comes from a bad horror movie. In my dream, there was smoke pouring from it and something was hacking loudly as the local radio station played. The light flicked on and an inhumanely deep voice said, "You watch him and he watches you. I watch both." I woke up terrified and covered in sweat. But the weird thing was that the closet light, it was on in the mornings, and I know that it hadn't been. I write this now because I stayed over a few nights ago for the first time in a long time, and I had another really bad dream. When I sleep, I remain curled in a tight ball and never move from my spot. I'd been having a really scary dream about something when I woke suddenly, feeling like something had jerked my ankle. I bolted awake to find myself at the bottom of my bed, closest to the now open doors of my closet, and my ankle in front of me, off the bed. I tell you this because I've never moved like this, no matter what my dream was, and it felt so real this time. I also now have 2 cuts on that ankle which bled overnight, but without any clear reason. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is evidence of a haunting? And if so, what the hell should I do? This sounds crazy, but can I make peace with it? Is this entity actually aggressive? And if so, can it do harm to me? Should I have told it to go away while I had the chance? And I guess, most importantly, do you think it's James?
So what do you guys think about that one? Person asked for your opinion too. So what do you guys think? Do you think it's a haunting? Do you think it's something else? This one actually has the question, so we can discuss whether it's true or not, because the person actually asked it. I don't know about you guys, but if I was having bad dreams and about a crawl space, and then all of a sudden just one morning, I just so happened to be pulled off my bed and have my ankle towards the bloody crawl space, I'd be out of that house in a flash, man. I would not be ever staying in that house again. Ugh. All right. While you guys are discussing, and I'm going to read your comments, so tell me what you guys think. Do you think it's a haunting? Do you think it's not a haunting? Do you think there's something else going on? What can the person do? You guys share. And I'm going to get the vote up for you guys, so you guys can vote. So it's 1 to 5. 1 being, I didn't find that story creepy at all, to 5 being, that was one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard. What do you guys think? And I'm gonna vote in a second as well. You think so? A lot of people saying they think it's a haunting. Cool Cat said I'd stay in that house just to try and experience it. Summoning Jutsu, yeah. You obviously watched Naruto. Sounds like paranormal activity. Anxiety triggered night terrors. Okay, yeah. I see what you're saying. So, do you guys think that could be sleep paralysis? I'd like to get your opinion. Do you think it could be sleep paralysis, or is there kind of some signs there that could indicate that it's not sleep paralysis? Oscar Vargas, thank you so much for the 5 again, man. And Brendan Taylor, thank you, bro, for the 3 and the 2. Oscar says, will you ever do a collab with Mr. Nightmare? And the story was haunting for sure. Also, here's another 5. Thank you, bro. Yeah, so I would love to do a collab with Mr. Nightmare. The unfortunate thing, though, is Mr. Nightmare is very busy. He works full-time, I'm pretty sure. And he also was going through some stuff with his mum. I think his mum actually had cancer. So I've asked him before, but obviously he's been very busy with stuff and life and things like that. And, he's a cool guy. And, I'm not going to push him. So, I don't know. If you guys want to see me do a collab with Mr. Nightmare, then go and bug him. Get him to do it with me. Yeah, so Brendan Taylor says, love the collab you did with the personal stories. Yeah. Thanks, bro. Actually, next stream, I'll share with you guys a couple of personal stories. I'm not going just yet. We got one more story, but yeah, next stream I'll share with you guys a couple of stories. Give you a little precursor. I don't know, some of you guys have probably heard this story before, but I'm sure some of you haven't as well. I used to be a child protection caseworker, and I have a pretty creepy story that I'll share with you guys next week. All right. So a lot of you guys said that it could be sleep paralysis. It kind of has some of those, markings of could very well be. Yeah. But I guess I don't know. It's always hard to, because okay, with sleep paralysis, are there any instances of sleep paralysis that you guys know where the person actually moves out of the bed? Because that sounds a little bit more like sleepwalking and not so much sleep paralysis, right? Because paralysis is like you're still, you can't do anything, right? Whereas sleepwalking is you can actually move and you walk downstairs or whatever and you grab a sandwich from the kitchen. That's what I would do anyway. Yeah, I know, Brendan Taylor. A lot of the horror community after YouTube, man, did all the shit that it did. A lot of guys went AWOL. I've tried to continue on, and I've tried my best to keep going for you guys. And it was hard, man. There was moments where I wasn't making any money. And I just tried to push through it. And a lot of you guys supported me on Patreon and things like that, which has been awesome. I'm kind of hoping YouTube will bring out apparently they're bringing out a sponsor button soon, so people can sponsor a channel for like $5 a month or something, which may not seem like a much to a lot of people, but $5 a month, and you have like a couple of thousand people do that. It makes the world of difference for a YouTuber. So I hope that they can bring that out soon, and that hopefully I can get some sponsors, and then I won't have to depend upon YouTube's advertisement system so much, which would be amazing, and the stress would go and the anxiety would be gone. So that'd be awesome. But yeah, a lot of guys bailed, not altogether, but certainly have slowed down because they've had to do other things. And yeah, so yeah, a lot of you guys are saying sleep paralysis, it incorporates the inability to move. Some of you guys are saying hallucinations and psychosis. Yeah, okay. I can see where you're coming from there. And I mean, it's hard to say. We don't know the person and the history, and yeah, but strange stuff. Very strange stuff. I mean, one other thing, the fact that the dad, experienced the bang too, like they said it sounded like a gunshot. I mean, it's probably very unlikely that two people have psychosis at the same time. It's not impossible, but it's probably unlikely. Oscar, last $5 I promise, buy yourself something nice. You're the first YouTuber I've ever donated to. Thanks for the vids. Yo, Oscar, thank you so much, man. You're very generous. I appreciate that so much. You know what? I'm going to get a coffee with your $5, all right? I'm going to go out and get a coffee. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't know. It could have been psychosis, and also one other thing. The fact that their like attic or whatever it was, the door to the attic was open and no one could reach it, and you had to get a ladder up there to like open it up, and it was really heavy. That kind of suggests that it probably wasn't psychosis. Although, I mean, who knows? Maybe psychosis is a strange thing for sure. I don't know. Again, a lot of these stories, it's going to be impossible to know whether they're true or not. But I'm going to vote now, and I'm going to show you. I would give that story a 3. I think it was pretty creepy. Let's see what you guys said. Yeah, okay, so a lot of you guys gave it a 4, a 3 to 4. Okay. Shrooms. Carbon monoxide poisoning, right, guys? Yeah, I don't know, but it wasn't sleep paralysis. Yeah, so I agree with you, Ali Catalog. It doesn't sound like sleep paralysis to me. probably, if anything, it sounds more like what someone suggested. Psychosis, or possibly an actual haunting, or maybe something like some bad dreams with sleepwalking or something like that, possibly. Not counting out all of the possibilities, but you guys voted 4 for creepiness. Okay, cool. That's pretty cool. Oscar, again, man, you just said it was the last $5. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. An extra $2 for a donut. Thanks, man. Grace Harrington with the $10. Thank you so much. I think you've donated $10 twice now, so that's $20 all up. Thank you so much for your generosity. I really appreciate that. All right, guys. One more story. Here it comes, guys. This is the last story. I hope you guys are ready. Here we go.
So this happened about 6 years ago. It's a story that I've told many times and will continue to tell because, honestly, it was probably the closest that I've ever been to getting killed. Or, if not killed, then kidnapped or something really horrible. The summer of 2012, me and my best friend were hitchhiking around Eastern Europe with no money, like a bunch of crusty punk bums. We were 19 at the time and really bought into that lifestyle, if that's what you call it. We're over it now, though. Without boring with unnecessary details, we were making our way towards Poland from the Baltics and happened to hitch a lift in Lithuania from the Latvian border. The dude who picked us up was really friendly, but he was ultimately going a different direction, and so he dropped us off at this spot that he told us was really good for hitching. He dropped us off, and it was a large concrete area by the side of the road, in the middle of Lithuanian countryside. It was probably designed for truckers to pull in on hindsight and take a nap or whatever. On one side of the road was endless cornfields. The other side was some woods. It was pretty late in the evening and there was no traffic anywhere, so we decided to call it a night, crossed the road towards the edge of the woods and got out our sleeping bags, food, etc. by this small dirt mound near the road, by the woods. As we were unwinding, we heard a woman screaming from across the road. We immediately ran across to see what the hell was going on, and we could just about make out 2 men running away in the cornfields. We stood there in shock, and a few moments later, a car up the road pulled out of the cornfields and sped off into the distance. We just stood there in shock, wondering what the hell to do. Then, a few moments later, a policeman in a car showed up. He asked us questions in Lithuanian, and we explained to him in English that we were just hitchhikers. He said to us that this was a really dangerous place and we shouldn't be here, but then proceeded to roll up the window and drive back the way he came. We were obviously pretty spooked at this point, so we crossed the road back to our bags by the dirt mound on the edge of the woods. My friend had a shitty little rusty penknife, and we agreed to stay vigilant. It was nighttime by this point, and after a while, nothing happened. But we were still a bit scared, and we couldn't really sleep. But then, in the dead of the night, in the woods next to us, we could hear footsteps cracking the twigs and branches of the woods. They slowly got closer and closer towards us too, and eventually they stopped. We heard incessant whispering for a few moments, then heard the footsteps and the twig snapping move slowly away from us. Neither of us needed to say anything to each other because we both knew what had just happened. At this point, we were petrified, and my friend took out his shitty penknife and we just laid there, shitting it and waiting. I remember saying to him, "See you in hell, Connor," and him saying it back to me. An hour or two passed and we were just laying there, taking turns with a knife, in case we got attacked from different angles, and not knowing what was going to happen. After a while, nothing happened and the exhaustion kicked in, and so we just passed out. But suddenly, we were abruptly woken early in the morning, sunny by this stage, by the sound of a car really aggressively pulling up on the road, by the mound that we were sleeping behind. We heard car doors slam and footsteps stomping towards us really quickly. As we were laying down and behind a mound, we couldn't see them, but we could just feel that they were inches away from us. I'll never forget the fear that I felt at that moment. My whole body froze and I simply thought that this was it. But they stopped and we heard a really angry argument in Lithuanian between two men. It went quiet after what felt like an eternity, but in reality was probably 30 to 60 seconds. They just stomped back to their car and drove off. I almost vomited with relief too, and we immediately got up, packed our bags and started walking as far as fucking possible from that area and started hitchhiking again. We're not sure what we were privy to that night, and we don't think it was a sexual assault, or else there would have been more screams. But we think that it was probably a murder. The perpetrators were likely watching us from the woods, whispering. They could have been seconds away from either killing us or kidnapping us the next morning. This all happened 6 years ago, and it's still so surreal thinking that this happened, and that we got away unscathed. I mean, we could have easily been a pile of bones in some unknown Lithuanian forest, never to be found. I'd also like to add as well that before all this happened, there was a weird precursor. We were on the Latvian and Lithuanian border, in a small village sitting on a wall. Before walking to that wall, we walked past a police car with what looked like to be two very heavily asleep police officers, possibly dead even, and some random guy shouting at them through the window. We thought it was strange and sat down on the wall and we watched the event from a distance, before proceeding to roll some cigarettes. We both looked up again about 20 seconds later and they had all just vanished. There was no sight of them anywhere, and it was a massively long stretch of road both ways. We both thought that it was really weird, and we hitched a lift from that wall, and it was a talking point right up until our calamity happened a few hours later. It kind of set the tone for the night, and I know it's kind of an irrelevant detail overall, but I felt that I should mention it because even though we weren't spooked, we were weirded out in a kind of harmless way, right up until shit got real. Anyway, I don't know exactly what happened that night, but something sinister was going on, for sure.
Alright guys, wow. That story creeped me out. I don't know about you guys, but that story, that's why I put it last. Okay, so not only are these guys in like a foreign country, they're in a pretty dangerous foreign country that's known for crap like this, right? They hear a scream in the middle of the night from a woman. They go out to check it out. No one's there. Cops rock up. Okay, they see two guys run off into like the forest or whatever. They go over to this place, chill out, you know, and then they can hear like whispers and friggin' footsteps and shit, and they're like, oh shit, what's going on? And then you know, they go to sleep or whatever, and then oh man, that whole story just had this really bad vibe to it. And that one in particular got me, man. That's why I put it last, because I just thought, oh man, that one sounds real, and it sounds like they were about to get killed or something, man, because that was crazy. Oh, creepy. All right, let me get you guys up in chat here. And I'm not going to go just yet. I'll stay for another 5 minutes just to chat with you guys. Let me put some tunes on here, guys, so we can chill. Let me make sure there's no ads here. Yeah, sweet. All right. So, what did you guys think? Let me get this this last voting poll up for you guys, so you guys can vote on the last story. And while you guys are voting, we can have a chat. I'll put this over over here for a sec. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hey, I hope you guys will come back, because I'm planning to do this. Let me turn this on, and then I'll get to the super chats and stuff, guys. Where is it? This one. So let me just turn this back on quickly, so you guys can super chat me and have your things read out to me, and then I'll get to you guys. Just give me a sec. There we go. Okay. So that should work now. All right, let me just quickly get to these super chats, guys. Obviously, people are asking questions. So, Zoil123. B, have you ever narrated a truck driver story? Actually, I have. And lots of love. Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. I have. It was one about, so a trucker stops on the highway at night and has this strange woman come out from nowhere in the forest, middle of the night, and talks to him and is asking for something or whatever, and he says no, bugger off kind of thing, and then she goes ballistic, and then he notices in his other rearview mirror that there's a guy standing on the left side, and it was like total carjacking. So that was pretty creepy. So Zarina, love from Singapore. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All the way from Singapore. Another $5. Must really love your content. Keep it up, man. Thank you, Oscar. You've been so generous today. Appreciate that. Noodle Doodles. Listening to your videos is one of the many ways I de-stress myself after long days. Your voice and gift for storytelling is one of a kind that both entertains and sends shivers down my spine. Thanks for the content, and keep it up, Busta. Thank you so much for the 3, and appreciate that, man. And Oscar Vargas again with another $2. Dad? Thanks, bro. Appreciate that. Okay, so what did you guys think? I'd like to get your opinions on what did you guys think of the stream? Do you think it all was good? Did you like the flow of it? Is there anything you would change? Would love to get your feedback here in the comments, guys. I should do this 3 times a week? Oh, really? I'd probably run out of stories. Grace, again with another $10. Man, so generous. Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed this stream. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, what do you guys think? Like, I would like to get your opinion. You know, obviously, we did news stories today, and the thing is, right, is if you want to listen to news stories, that'll just be once a week, because the news stories are like, you know, I have to make them, and it takes about a week for me to get them all out there. So another option is we could listen to some of my podcasts. I don't know if you guys have been over to the podcast yet. So that's on Castbox. It's called Be Scared, B.Scared. If you haven't checked it out, I'll give you guys a link now to check it out. So you guys can go and have a look. You can also listen to the podcast wherever you want, though, too, guys. I'll just give you guys my Twitter. Oh, okay, hang on. I have to shorten it up here. So the Castbox link and everything is there. So you guys can go and check out it's on Spotify, Eric. It's on there. And if you guys could like and review it, it helps a lot actually with podcasts. That'd be awesome if you guys could do that. And make sure you subscribe there too, because it helps me out a lot. And yeah, that way you don't miss anything. But we could listen to those if you guys would like to. Midweek, I could do another stream. Like it's nothing for me to pop on in the morning and hang out with you guys for a couple of hours, because I know it's nighttime for most of you guys in the States. So yeah, I could definitely do that. Last $2, no, I swear. You said that last $2, man. Can we get a pun? I'll tell you one. A good pun is its own reword. My dad jokes, man, they're on point, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. So yeah, I'm glad you guys all enjoyed the stream. It seems like a lot of you guys have really liked the stream. You know, we can definitely do this again. Let me quickly show you guys the results for the poll as well. I'm going to give that one a 5 for sure, because that one really creeped me out. Let me just get you guys over to this screen so you guys can see. So, a lot of you guys voted 4 and 5. I agree. I thought that one was very creepy and just strange and kind of had a real, you know, real feel to it that someone was going to die. How bad, but so funny. That's what makes a good that's what makes a good She is from, what was that, Estonia? Wow. Let me double check that one. Oh, it hasn't showed up yet. Oh man, it's coming in too fast. She is from Estonia. Wow. Thank you so much for the 4. Appreciate it. And Blumpkin the Knight with the $10. Thank you so much. Keep it up. We love it. Levita Minx. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. You guys have been so generous, and it's so good to have so many of you guys show up. Like 500 people were watching the live stream at one stage. Like, that's a lot of people for a first stream. So thank you guys, and it's been awesome.
We love you.
Need more puns at the end of the video. I'm working on it, Vivian. I'm working on it. Don't worry. I got you. Yeah, so I guess one other question that I have for you guys is, would you guys like to listen to stories that I've done previously? So would you guys like to listen to, say, like last week's video? Because I got a crap load of stories that we could listen to. And, you know, I could come back on midweek and, you know what? Let's poll it. Let's straw poll it. That's a good idea. You guys can tell me. Let me get this up here. Would you listen to old stories with me? Yes. Hell nah. Alright. Here we go. There's the poll. You guys tell me. I would like to get your opinion. Because, you know, some people might not want to listen to old stories, you know, and I understand that, you know, and I don't want to really, like, make it boring for you guys, you know. I want to make it entertaining. I want this to be fun. I want this to be a nice experience. And, you know, if once a week is all that we can do, then that's fine. But if you guys are keen to do way more, we can do more. But, yeah, if you guys could vote, just let me know. That'd be awesome. Here's the poll one more time, just so if anyone's missed it. So they're all the same link, guys. All you have to do is just click one of the links, and it'll take you to straw poll, and then you can vote yes or no. A lot of people are saying they would love to. Yeah, so you guys would like some more streams. Okay, well, we can definitely do that and listen to some more scary stories and the podcasts and everything too. And yeah, can definitely do that. I'll have to look at my schedule and everything and try and schedule everything in. So, insider information for you guys. I have a wife and we're having a baby soon. So, things are about to get a little bit hectic for me. But if this is something that you guys would like to do, I can definitely fit it in still. You know, twice a week, maybe, or 3 times a week, maybe. You know, definitely want to do Fridays, which, like, Fridays for you guys in the States with the new stories. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. We're actually having a baby boy, too. I have a daughter. She's 4. And we're going to have a baby boy. So, yeah. It's going to be cool, man. It's going to be cool. Thanks, guys. It's exciting. Another little rugrat in the house. It's going to be good. Yeah, little B Busta. That's what I'm going to name him. Little B. No, not really. Can you imagine? Daniel, for sure. Actually, I'll share the name with you guys because it's not a secret. So my son's name is going to be Asher. And my daughter's name is Eden. So, yeah. I have 2 babies now that I have to look after. And I love them very much. They're great. So life is going to get a little busy. Actually, for about 3 weeks, it'll slow down because I'm going to take a little bit of time off. You know, obviously I need to help my wife and I have to help out around the house and everything. But yeah, we're going to hang out and yeah, we're just going to chill and stuff. So I might be able to stream a little bit more. I have to do it in, you know, the hours where baby is sleeping and stuff. But daddy daycare will be in full swing. I'll have to take my daughter to school and everything. And so, yeah. It's should be good though. All right, so here's the poll. You guys, so 4 of you guys said hell nah. Word to you guys. And most of you guys voted yes. So that's pretty cool. I would be keen to do some more streams. Definitely. I think this was really fun. I really enjoyed it. And it's great to get some live feedback from you guys. And it's really cool that so many of you guys came in. I wasn't expecting like 500 people to rock up. So very, very cool. Very cool. Thank you guys for all the congratulations. Really appreciate that. Actually, I have 2 younger siblings. So I have 2 younger brothers. And they're both having babies soon too. So the clan is growing. So my youngest brother, he's having a baby in about 4 or 5 months or something, I think. Or maybe 3 months even. And my middle brother, so I'm the oldest, and then I've got 2 younger brothers. My middle brother, he's having a baby probably like a month after we have our one. So there's going to be babies everywhere, man. Everywhere. But, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's going to be babies running around everywhere. So, yeah, guys. I will keep you posted on other streams that we could potentially do together, where we can listen to more scary stories. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you do, because that's kind of probably where I'll be updating all of you guys. I can obviously update you guys in the community tab on YouTube too, so I'll be sure to put it there as well if I'm going to live stream. And also I can schedule it in. It would probably be around the same time as well, guys. So the same time as today. I might push the streams like half an hour forward, because a lot of you guys said like in 30 minutes time would have been perfect for me. And I think it's just a little hard to kind of get the timing right and everything, but yeah, we'll get it down, don't worry. And next stream would probably be around the same time, so keep that in mind. I know weekends work out really well for you guys, so I'll try and keep that in mind as well. Maybe on so my Monday morning would be like your Sunday night. Now I know work is the next day for a lot of you guys, or school, or whatever it is that you're going to, but yeah. Oscar Vargas, gotta go. No worries, bro. Thank you so much for your generous donations, man. Appreciate it. It's really, really generous of you. So thank you. So yeah, guys, I think I'm gonna call it there. It's been really fun. This has been really cool to kind of hang out with you guys and listen to stories. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and yeah, I'll be on next week, more than likely, same time. So I'll kind of try and set this in as a time to get together once a week at least, and then we'll go up from there. We'll see how we go. The scary stories that we listened to today, I'll be uploading that video on my Monday morning, which will be your Sunday night if you're in the States. And so if you missed any stories today or anything, then be sure to check out the video, because you can watch it in full there and kick back and relax. And yeah, guys, so I hope you enjoyed the stream. Thank you guys so much for all the donations, and your generosity has been unparamounted. So thank you guys so much for stopping by too and hanging out. It's been a real pleasure. I'll catch you guys next week. If anything changes, like if we have a baby or anything, I'll let you guys know. And but yeah, I'll definitely be live streaming again soon. Okay? Alright guys, take care. Love you guys a lot. Thank you guys so much for all the support that you give me. Thanks for liking and commenting and everything on the videos. So appreciate your support. Love the Beehive. Long live the Beehive. Take care, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you for being the best creepypasta guy on YouTube.